Welcome everyone, I'm Nausicaa and this is The Cool Heart. I'm obsessed with art, so I can't wait to share with you those incredible contemporary artists, from pop art to street art to photographers. But we'll also talk about fashion, business, women empowering, and most of all, we will have conversation with cool people with a big, big heart.
I want to tell you that Nausicaa always has really nice backgrounds. Now she has retinas. She's the only person I've ever been on Zoom with that has retinas in the background. She just won't stop being awesome. She doesn't even know how to not be.
As a child, I spent a lot of time to myself before my sister and before I met my step-siblings. I was a latchkey kid, living here in LA actually. This is before we moved to Oakland in 1989. I learned during that time how to entertain myself. And I was always into art. Like, art could take me as far as I wanted to go in my imagination. Like, I could depend on what I wanted to draw. And I wasn't afraid to fail. I think that was like one of the main things that helped me progress as an artist from a very young age. Being by myself, having the time, learning to focus, and falling in love.
Hi Taj, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm so happy to see you. I feel like, to see someone during the day, during that COVID, I'm like, yeah. I wanted you to tell us how you started because I know your journey is very different. And every time I hear you when we talk at the gallery, I'm like, wow. I mean, there's so many things in your story, like the way you came to LA and everything. So first, you're like young, you're going to school, doing your things. How did you have the idea to know that you wanted to be in this industry?
I shot a music video for a friend named Track a Million, an artist and producer out in the Bay Area. And he was the first, really like the first artist that gave me enough money to shoot the format that I wanted, like to give me the bare bones so that I could have the bare bones, but everything, right? I would have a little of everything, but I had everything. And he said, just go. I trust you, just go. And that allowed me to really incorporate my photography, my photography skills. I shot film, it was black and white, 35 millimeter, beautiful, beautiful, like Airflex camera. And I had two and a half days to go around the Bay Area shooting people the way that I would shoot them on my still camera, but it was now moving. So you got to see the story that I had been telling through photography as a hobby. You got to see it in moving form now and became real. And I think at that moment is when my message became clear, kind of like who I was and what kind of aesthetic I was looking for, like swallowing frames, huge frames with people down in the lower third, redefining what these adjectives meant. When we say strong, when we say triumphant, when we say glamorous, when we say beautiful, when we say provocative, what do these things really mean? And how many ways can you tackle these words? Can you define them? And I think that's still my driving force to this day. Is what other way can I say it so that you really get it?
What was your dream back then? Like, what happened in your mind, like when you were 16, 17 years old? Did you know what you wanted to do?
At 16, 17 years old, I was really into sports, and I was a high school quarterback. So like I was into sports. So people were looking at me really and putting pressure on me to play football. Okay. That was like the main thing. But that was something that is sports. It's exciting. I didn't know how to capture a crowd or how to capture a group of people. I don't really feel like I had the confidence, really knew who I was enough to be able to build up the courage or the confidence or even the motivation to gather a crowd around a piece of art. But I was in art classes. I was in advanced art classes. at a very, very young age. I was in my first museum when I was 10 years old. So I had done this piece where I literally wrote in a different language, but I was just mimicking the language. And then I ended up writing God is Love. And I didn't, it was an accident. I love like Japanese characters. My whole class went on a field trip to go see my work in the museum, and I was only 10, you know what I mean? And so that piece is still in my auntie's house.
I love the journey before, like was so strong in your mind that you just pushed the boundaries so much. And I feel like your journey is incredible. Like I remember the day that you talked to me about the J-Lo's video, but I want you to tell me, how did you get there?
Oh, that was crazy. J-Lo was 2011, January of 2011. So, and my career really got going in 2008 is when it got its first little spark. I had worked with, so by the time I worked with J-Lo, I had worked with Nas, Neo, Rihanna, Music Soul Child.
How a kid from the city you're from end up doing, like Rihanna's video and Nas video? I mean, it's big. Like, how did the whole things happen? Because it's just like you wake up one day, oh, Nas call me, and oh, okay, cool. Hi, how are you? I'm going to shoot your next video.
You know why people sneak into the back of the theater, to the back door?
Yeah.
Because no one's paying attention. So when no one's paying attention, to me, it's sometimes a better time when it's no energy, when it's quiet, when no one's focusing on me, that I can go down a road that no one is traveling. At the time, being a music video director, it wasn't something that was as common as it is now. You know, this industry has changed a lot. And I saw a lane that people really didn't respect. And I always felt like you could bring charisma, and you can bring a sense of cool and sensibilities, and you can bring taste to anything and make it look better than it did before you got there. And so I felt like, I don't care if they call me the camera guy, or aren't you you're like a camera guy, right? You're a lighting guy. Like nobody really knew what I did. Rihanna will change that. A name like Rihanna would change that. And I remember leaving LA, going to shoot Rihanna in Prague, and coming back to LA, and the energy felt different. Like I could feel like the page turn, and it was like, now here's the next chapter of your career.
Wow.
Let's see what you do with money. There was one time where I left a video set. I was on my way home. I got booked for another video with Lil Wayne and Electric Red. I was leaving that video now, right? Going home. Finally, I stayed an extra 2 days. Changed my flight. Then I was going home from that and got booked back the direction that I just came.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I got big like that. Like it was like I had 6 videos on 106 in Park. That's a 10 video show. I had 6 of them. Artists were calling me like left and right. Now that I'm mature and I know I'm, more mature than I was, I'm still learning. Student first, student second. Art, I've come back to art where I started. And I won't let this be, this won't be a fly by night thing. This will be interesting. I want to tell everyone to get ready, but as an artist, I feel like you don't want to have arrogance before you show what you can do. You don't want anything to come off as arrogant. So I don't talk much. I'm not a big talker. I just kind of go show and prove. So if I say I'm going to move that building, I'm going to move the building.
So here you are. You starting doing music video, and of course you want to move to LA, right? So I want you to tell us the story about you moving to LA.
Well, I originally had come down to LA with a friend of mine who is, he actually committed suicide in 2014, but I came down here with him. He was an artist, and we came down with like a joint dream, sort of, that wasn't connected with every single plan and every single turn on the map, but it was like, let's not forget each other. We're both here. I had just gotten signed. And I came down to LA because it's about elevating now. And so now I'm doing everything. Every idea that I have is getting written down, and then it has 3 stages before I really put my heart into it. But if it passes those stages and I know within seconds that I'm on it, I have to do it. It's no longer an option. Like I have to.
For the little story, we have Taj at the gallery, and I'm so pleased and so honored to have you as an artist there. I mean, I was really blown away with your vision and once you hear the story, I mean, it's very hard not to fall in love with your art. And all of your, I mean, Sari of this show, he's with mask most of the time. And I remember I asked that questions like, I mean, did you just do that since COVID, since March or something? And you were like, no. I mean, all those pieces I way prior to COVID, 5 or 6 years prior. So people now knows you're like, oh, he predicted COVID. And I'm like, no,
Right.
putting such a bad thing. So yeah, tell us about it.
Well, I always thought that the ultimate gift to humanity and the ultimate ailment was us. I always felt like it was the one thing in this world that was as good for us as it is bad for us. When it is, and we are in constant competition every day. We want to win the day. We want to be better than the next person. We don't want to be inferior. We don't want to be forgotten. We want to be cared about, and that takes you know, you have to do things to get there. And the mask just represented what we're doing now with mask, protecting ourselves from each other. It was something where it's like, I'd rather show you than tell you. I do the most beautiful work when I'm angry and I really want to show someone something, or my feelings are hurt or something. That's when I really express who I am. Other than that, I'm a pretty like cool guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really do the best work when I'm happy. I do the best work when I'm really worried about the world, when I'm concerned, and when I feel something coming. And God uses all of us to warn us about what's to come. It wasn't more about COVID. It was about the ultimate sickness, which is us, and how we treat each other, how we ignore each other. So we go our whole lives avoiding people. So I talk to people all the time. It annoys some of my friends. Like I talk to people all the time. Like that one of the best things you can do is ask for someone's advice, because the first thing that it says is that you saw them and you thought that looks like a person that could help me.
Yeah.
People want to look like they have it figured out, even if they don't. And that's understandable. We want to use each other. We just don't want to be misused.
To move here with $600, you had a dream, right? And you worked hard for your dream. And I want you to share that with people, to just also be able to inspire them, because this pandemic, it's insane. You know, look, Spain just closed again till like, I don't know how many months. They have a curfew now. Paris just closed down like a week ago. We had a curfew, and the whole work is being sick. And I really feel like, you know, you're so.
Those are businesses, though. Those are businesses. Those are businesses that closed down. But the question is did the person that had to make that temporary decision, did that person close down? And that's what it is. It's really about people. Like businesses go through different, their lifeline is different. You know what I'm saying? It's a shorter lifeline. That's why businesses, you know, a lot of businesses fail within the first year.
Yeah.
But what will you fail within the first year? You know, a lot of those companies that failed are now Amazon. You know what I mean? It's like who we are right now in the past was looking into the future. If you can embrace that, then you will work every single moment, understanding that the future isn't this far out thing. It's right now. And when we first started this conversation, that was the past. It's constantly moving. So everything that you do it with care. And I feel like God, when you really make a deal with God, he gives you incentives. He's given me this power that when it's time to talk about art or it's time to be on set, it doesn't matter if I haven't slept for a week. It doesn't matter if I haven't eaten. It doesn't matter what is going on, who got to me, who said the wrong thing to me. I'm on. You know what I'm saying? I'm on. And that is something that I'm not bragging about. It's something that I've been given that gift so that I can give back. I'm number 2. The world is number 1. So I'm a servant, and my job is to create with the intention of moving people, and know that I feel the same way.
I have so many people that I do love. I have to say, like I'm really obsessed with, but that one is your version of the Mona Lisa.
Yeah. Yeah, it's called A Fall from Grace. Whoever Mona Lisa really was, whoever she was, whoever this young woman was, I would bet my last dollar that she had a lot in common with Griselda Chavez, who is the woman in the actual piece. That's why it's called A Fall from Grace. It's also called A Fall from Grace because of like the actual meaning of that, you know, meaning, you know, going from a higher place and coming down, like where we feel like we are now. But we are in one of the highest places that we could ever be. because now we have to realize and have to accept what's going on with us. And that's the best time for an artist to thrive too, is to say, we can't hide it anymore. We can't act like something isn't happening. People are dying. People are dying from what felt like the flu. People are screaming at each other, I love you, stay away. You know what I mean? People, you can't see people, you only see half of people's faces. The notion that look at a person in their eyes, because that's where you find their truth, doesn't really feel so true anymore. I miss the other half of the face. Now it lets you know that God is perfect and he created us. He created everything about us is equally important about the human. Like we are the most perfect thing, the most perfect imperfect creation ever is the human being to me. And I feel like we're put here to explore and to live our best life. It's not meant to be fair. It's meant to be lived. And I accept my purpose. I'm very cynical about things, about like the way life is and what I'm here for, how long I'll be here. I try to treat like every day like I'm going to be here. I may not be here the next day. You know, I don't know. I've seen people like three of my best friends died all at one time when I was 19 years old, waiting on me. You know what I mean? So like I've seen that. You know what I'm saying? I've been with people that came by the house and was like, hey, what's up, Taj? I was just in the neighborhood. The next day they were dead. Many times. More than 35% of the kids from my neighborhood are dead that I grew up with. How you value life, how you value God and your relationship with God, how you value your relationship with the world and your duty as a servant. Once you can accept yourself as that and know that a servant is not a bad thing, it gets a bad rap, but being a servant is the best thing that you can be.
So talking about God and this relationship between God and human, doesn't matter your faith is. You just made a piece for Ray Lewis, right? And I told you we had dinner the night before, and the only thing we talked about was exactly the meaning of this piece. And he called me later and he was like, Nas, that's crazy. That piece is so meaningful and powerful. I mean, that was exactly what we were talking the night before. And here you come the next day, and with that piece, that was just perfect.
Well, what's crazy is it's not crazy at all. I picked that piece for Ray Lewis because Ray Lewis has been through more than just football. You know, he comes from a higher place. I remember in 2012, I think it's the last year he played, and they played in the 2013 Super Bowl against the 49ers, which is my team. I knew that we were going to lose because I knew he was going to win. Some stories are just written the way that they need to be written, and he needed to go out a winner. Like God has plans for something. And sometimes he'll give you a little glimpse to what piece he's going to play next. And he'll like wink at you, you know, and you're like, oh, wow, I think he just showed me exactly what he's going to do. So that's the only time I've ever watched my team in the Super Bowl, and I was watching it like I knew that we weren't going to win. But he won't play another down or another game after this one, and he did. The hand of God, it didn't always have the triangle with the portal at first. It didn't have that at first. But I added that because this time when God touched us, he touched us to show us his power. God alerts us way before. He's alerted me a few times, and it's always been right. He usually alerts my mother before he alerts me. She always calls me and says, are you okay? And every time she asks me that, I'm not.
Wow.
Every single time. And I aspire to be okay. I'm a pretty tough person. I think based on what God has put in my path. But my mother is she's resilient. She's of the tough. She is so tough that God put her in a little small 5'1" frame so that you wouldn't be intimidated offhand. And he uses her for good.
So
he used you for good, Nausicaa. He used you for good. You're a part of my story, and I'm a part of your story, you know? And we can fit in two completely different arenas in each other's lives and not even know it. You know, curator is a title, artist is a title, but where we fit in each other's lives, that's where the true art is. That's where the art is. You know, we're only using things that God already put here. We're not inventing anything.
And I want you to talk about your relationship with your mother, because in every piece of your work, you know, she was a florist, right? So she used to make beautiful, beautiful bouquet
Beautiful
with
arrangements.
every single flowers. And I think it's just incredible to feel the connection you had with your mom and see it right now in your work. But obviously, flowers are also a big part of your work. She raised you on her own, and you explained to me, like, everything that you had every day for it as a meal was coming from her work and delicious
Flowers
flowers.
and thorns and shears and cutting and floral life. Something so delicate physically was the foundation of how we survived. It was the source of how we survived. That and my mother's energy and her hard work and her love for her children. My mother is I have to say that she is the premier artist. She is like the most talented artist in the family, I would say, talent wise. She can do anything, but she would go as far as she could. And that's what she put in me. If she didn't think I did my best, she would be like, "Is that you at your best?" She'd ask me that question. Is that you at your best? And that's a question. It's a very hard question to answer or to lie about. Because if you say yes, then that's what you've settled for. That's who you're saying you are. But if you're just lazy that day, then maybe you should say, no, it's not my best. All my dreams come true. Everybody knows Taj, but
You make me cry. I don't want to cry though. I didn't say
she's
that.
everything. She's everything.
I think it's just like amazing to just see, I mean, many people can relate to that, I mean, being a single mom too, and I'm sure there's many single mom, watching that. And I think and now you're a dad, so you can understand that even more being a dad. And I think like our life really take a big turn when we having like, legacy, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Your perspective of life changed so much. You want to show them the right path, even though it's the hard way. And I totally can relate with your mom experience, like in between that when you struggle because you're just like so scared for you, not for you, but for your own children.
I've never loved anybody more than I've loved my son. I definitely love my son more than I love myself. The gift is to say, there's someone on this earth that I love more than I love myself. And that is the ultimate protection.
And I have to say, the way that your mom raised you and the connection that you do have with your mom is like so present in your work. Like, let's talk about the Kobe piece that you did. Can you tell us about it?
After I did that Nipsey Hussle piece, I was introduced to what comes along with that kind of responsibility. When you do a piece that is a nationally known piece, like it was all over the place. And I was proud of that, but it was a piece that I wish I'd never had to create. If that was the piece that would make my career, I would throw my career away for his life. I really wish that I didn't have to create that or Kobe.
You create this because you had that, you wanted to peak and leave something like an homage for this greatness. And I really want to insist because there's so many people that was like, oh, how he just passed and let's make money about it. So I really want you to just explain to us that you didn't do that and you put this for free just to have people be able to download that. And you did that piece out of love and respect.
Well, when we're hurting, we were hurting. It's like when you ever seen like a team, like a little league team lose a game and all the kids are crying and then the coach talks to them. And he talks to them in a way where he knows that they don't understand certain things about the world. He's going to say things to them that's not going to resonate right away. Well, that's what God put me here for. So he put me here to catch us for a little minute and to say, while you're mourning, let me give you some of the best tasting water because crying makes you dehydrated, right? Let me give you some of the best water. And that's what I wanted to do for Kobe. So it's vibrant. He's a king. I wanted it to, it wasn't a piece where I had the components already. It really took me a long time. I was dozing off doing that piece because I just got back from out of the country. I was really tired, but I kept at it because I was being guided by who he really was and by people's pain. Like you could feel the sun come down in LA. Like it was just low. It was low. And if you didn't know who he was, you felt the sadness. It didn't feel like, you know, this big gangster just died and because he has gangster respect. No, he was a real man that did things for his community, and he did it from the inside to show that because of his affiliation and what he came into the gang life, that wasn't a total representation of who he was or what he represents or what he wants that to be. And he's not here to physically say that anymore. So now it's our jobs to pay him back. He never asked for a thing from us. You know what I mean? He put out a $100 album and it sold out. Like, it was like selling the shelf. And that wasn't to show off. It's to say, if you really believe in me, if we really share the same vibe, I'm speaking for you too. He's a reporter, just like I'm a reporter, right? Then the $100 won't mean anything. You can't hold any dollar amount to the truth. You can't hold any dollar amount to someone that's willing to be selfless and to give themselves and free of applause. They actually shy away from it.
So you did a piece for him, right?
Yeah.
What about that piece? Because I love the purple. I mean, I'm French, as you know, I'm not from here. So I would never and we do not have gangs like you guys have here. So it's something's very, new for me. It's not like I've been born and raised here. I'm just living here for the past 6 years. And the purple touched me a lot.
The color purple. The Bloods are red. That's a gang. The Crips are blue. When you put blue and red together in harmony, when you mix colors, you have to mix them in harmony, which means it has to be about the equal amount. It has to be equally displayed. It has to work chemically. It has to work. They have to allow each other to lay on top of each other to make room for what they will form, which is purple. The color purple. And the color of royalty is purple. And so I gave high res, the highest of the highest, which is my message to him. Even when you're stolen, you should be stolen intact at your highest. Even when you're misused, you should be misused at your highest. I'm going to give you the highest quality that I can give you to the world. So no one has an excuse, not even the thief has an excuse to disrespect you with what quality they use to make money off of your name. At least they'll be doing it with high quality. I did that, but then I created the color purple, 33 pieces, one for every year of his life. He died at the age of 33, Jesus' age. And now he's more powerful than ever. We feel his presence more than ever now, Nipsey's. I thought about what it would be like if Nipsey came back and I saw Nipsey, what LA would do. If God sent one person down, sent one person back, and it was Nipsey, how the entire city would clamor. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to move for days on the freeway just to get a sight of him. But that's not because he's the first person that came back. It's because of who came back. And that is not even the murderer accomplished what he wanted to. He wanted to be him, but he was light years away. This world is just we don't know anything, Nausicaa. We really don't know anything. I don't spend my time really trying to figure out all the answers. I just try to explore all these theories as much as possible. Because every time I think I got it right, I got it wrong. So that can't be the key, right?
You're kind of a key in a certain way because you communicate and you give life to afterlife in what you do. So you kind of a key. I don't know how you say in English, like in French we say passe-partout. You know that key that goes to every door?
Yeah, it is like that. It's like that. Could you imagine that there's 6 keys and there's 6 questions, kind of like about 6 questions that I ask myself when I do pieces to commemorate someone for who they were. And you're going in with everything. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, this piece, when you put it out, it's out. So this is what it has to do. It has to stand the test of time. It has to have these vibrant colors. It has to be modest in a way, represent who that person was. But at the same time, it has to have, you have to show how you really feel and your personal feelings about it.
I was actually so hurt by Kobe and Gianna's passing that I was like many people. I was drained. It was an extremely sad time. It's still sad. And I honestly thought about creating something to remember him, but I just didn't have it in me. It was the thoughts were weighing me down. The thoughts of that actually happened, like coming to a reality, realizing that someone as great as Kobe Bryant, and not just a basketball player, but just a man. Like it was sad, and so I wasn't going to. And my mother, who doesn't watch sports at all, we never talk about sports. It's actually almost forbidden to talk to my mother about sports because you know she's going to shrug. I called her, and when she answered the phone, she was crying. And she said, "Oh, Taj, you have to do something for Kobe Bryant." And that instantly changed my mind.
Mamba, it doesn't say Kobe Bryant anywhere on the actual piece. It says Mamba. I didn't put Kobe Bryant on there because we know who Kobe Bryant is. He's done enough in this world. He's inspired us enough that we know him from miles away. So that's why I didn't put his name, because it's more visible without his name there. I put those words on his face to kind of just, these are just chapters. These are things that he became in his life. And I wanted to use very common words. I don't want to lose people. I don't like being deep, because being deep means that I'm in a part of the water, a part of the ocean that people are afraid of and don't like to go to. It's a place where people feel inferior. I don't want to go over people's heads. So I just put words that we could all really understand and embrace, but they look and feel different on him. It feels different on greatness. And I try to put those on someone that isn't a responsible father, who hasn't inspired anyone, who's only taken, people that we forget about, people that we don't ever remember. It wouldn't work. We wouldn't even be talking about it. Like, he empowers the piece, and I just bring the components. God allows me to deliver the components, but everything that they've done, it gives it power. What you mean to the world is your value. That is your ultimate value. Is what people will say about you, how they will celebrate you, not think about you, or whatever they will say about you, how you will be remembered. How you will be remembered. That is your ultimate value. You don't take any money with you. Money doesn't buy happiness. It's a down payment that opens up a whole bunch of doors, and you still have to go through and choose the ones that are the best for you. God makes no mistakes.
One of the pieces of the show that I obsessed with is that beautiful girl flying, and it looks like New York, but now I know the tricks. It was in LA, but it looks like New York. Black and white.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
To tell me a little bit more about this one.
Yeah, it's called Human in the Room. It's like the first Mask. It's the first of like the Mask series. The first piece. I did that piece. This may not mean anything to people. It may not. This never really feels like it resonates. But that's the only piece of art that I've ever done on my laptop. And I did it on my laptop in my bed with every distraction around me possible. A beautiful woman by my side that wanted my attention. A loud TV. I was so locked in that nothing could distract me. All these things are beautiful distractions. I want to go outside on this perfect day, this perfect night with perfect weather. Look at this beautiful woman next to me. You know what I mean? I would love to have a conversation with her. I would love to, watch the football game that was on TV. You know what I mean? All these things that were happening, all these things that are, that I love, that I personally love to entertain. I love to be a part of my life normally, but I ignored all those things and I was just stuck on that piece. It's the only piece that I feel like, one of the only pieces that I did on that scale with that kind of idea, that once I had the components, I did it all in one sitting. Like, I didn't get up. Like, when I sat down, I just had a photo here. And then once I got back up, it was like 8 hours later, because there's a lot of things about her that were different in the original photo. Her hair was really long. And so a lot of people, I forget that her hair was different, but that it says something different. like she's being prepared for something. Like in Beef and Vendetta, when he shaves her head, he shaves her beautiful, beautiful hair, you know, and she's crying and she shaves her head. It's like you have to be able to get rid of what you think makes you beautiful so that you can actually see your power sometimes. Like she was probably more attractive in the original photo, but it was about telling the story. And the story was us. We ignore each other when we can help each other. We can help each other by just assuming that everything's not all right. I try to give a compliment a day to someone. The rules are I have to really mean what I say. I have to mean what I say, but I have to give it with no fear. You know, the thing that is personal is our connection when we are aiming to be good to each other. You inspire me all the time. You always show up. I cannot tell if you've had a bad day unless I am the result of it. You know what I'm saying? Like you always show up. And to me, I've learned, I'm like, oh, this is not just a fashion thing. This is a you thing. It's a you thing.
What do you mean?
It's just a you thing. Some people, like your beauty, I cannot tell you one brand that you had on since I've met you. But what I can tell you is that you support the brand. The brand's not supporting you. It's not making you. Like other people can put that on if they're not so confident, trying to look confident, and it'll work. Maybe work to someone that doesn't have confidence or something like that, or, you know, and we can empathize with that. We all feel down sometimes, but you come through with a certain amount of power. Like you have a certain amount of power and assertion to you. You're not afraid to say what you feel. You're not afraid to say it right away. Something in your life, and I don't know what, made it so that you don't ever want to go back to that place.
Yeah.
So, because you handle things right away, like right away.
I would say business-wise, I learned to do that, you know. And you have no other choice that to just pick right away and fix things, you know, right away, because you have this big boat that you need to, you know, make sure that it floats and it's not going to drown. So if something's wrong, as soon as you fix the thing that is not working, the better it is. Yeah. I would say in work, I learned, I mean, you know, I was like, Taj, where are the fucking paintings? Where are they coming? I mean, you know, my business wise, right?
So it's like when I looked you up, it was like, oh, this all makes sense. And as I get to know you, I'm like, oh, it makes sense. And then I see your outfits and I'm like, oh, it's not just her outfits, it's her too. Because if it was just the outfits, I'd be complimenting mannequins all the time. You know, like a lot of people dress well. So it's been an honor. It's been an honor.
No, the pleasure is, I mean, the honor is all mine. Like it's been a pleasure to just being able to go in your word, in your artistic world, and, you know, have you and explain to me and share with us, like during our private, you know, viewings, meanings about every single pieces. And I think it's incredible because now we get to understand where you're from, coming from, you know, like, you know, moving to LA with $600 with nothing, doing Rihanna's music video to Jillo. I mean, it's anybody's dream. Like, come on. I can talk to like 100,000 people will be like, oh my God, I want to shoot a video with Jillo. I want to shoot a video with Rihanna. I mean, they're big icons. But you have such artistic visions, plus your art side is just amazing, you know, and your heart is crazy. Like I told you, I could spend all days and nights listening to you because you're so creative and you're so genuine. You know, there's something about you with your work that is very one of a kind. I can tell. Yeah.
Well, I have a hunch about there's something that I know that no one else knows. And I won't say what that is. That's as far as that I can go. Is that I know something about myself that is something that I can sense, something that I know. It's something that I know. That's all I can say. And that I don't have time to waste. So I have to do what I have to do now. I was told, like, God literally will tell me things like, look, you're going to be faced with people challenging whether this is real art or not. Real art. But you know that real art is content, is something that is put out, something that is created by, executed by the way of the mind, motivated by the way of the heart, right? And it is intended to move people. It's intended to be a part of the cure. That's what it's intended to do. It doesn't matter how I do it. It matters what I'm doing. What I'm doing is telling my truth. What I'm doing is carrying out the duties that God gives me. I battle with God sometimes. I battle with him. Like not every person on the front line agrees with the general's orders. And sometimes I don't want to. I don't want to do that.
So Taj, also you did a piece, Mr. Roger. You make me so emotional, and you were so emotional at the last viewing with the press.
When I played that video,
gosh,
everyone became a part of the audience that he was speaking to. I saw everyone start to think about the people that made them. The instructions from a person that is built from purity and just good are instructions that we can trust. So when he says, that's why he gave instructions. He didn't really ask them, he told them. You know, and you trusted him. You trusted him. You know, there's no ego involved. There's no masculinity problems involved, or complex, you know, masculine complex or anything like that. It's nothing like, it's just take some time to think about. And in everything that he says, everything that he's been up to that point allows you to trust him automatically. So then everyone reflected. He gave his moment to everyone else. And this is his lifetime achievement. His lifetime achievement was making it so that we had one person we could trust.
Wow.
We were more special than what we see in the mirror or what we rank on a scale of 1 to 10 every day. Are we at our best that day?
So how could you define your work?
My work represents a definitive moment where we expand our relationship with art. The world does. The fact that I can paint and I don't, I'm making a point. I don't care how I do it. It doesn't matter how I do it. To focus on how I do it is to look at, you're looking at nothing. You're looking at just me. There's a whole world out here. I'm here for the world, so why are you looking at me? Look at what I'm doing for the world. And if that comes down to, I do it by mouse, I do it by computer, I do it by brush. I mean, I've seen some amazing pieces of work that were painting, that was chalk. I've seen some things that were paper mache. I've seen some things that were art, that was architecture. I've seen some things, and it's gone the other way. Some things that don't move me, that are massive, and then things that blow me away that are small. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all in what your intention is. It's all in how you go into something. I go into everything terrified that I won't live up to God's standards and what he wants me to do. But that fear, that feeling that I feel it's what you do with that feeling. And when I feel fear, I know that I'm in the right place.
How can you relate fear to being in the right place? That's kind of, you know, usually you'd be like, oh, I feel fear. Let's get away from the fear. As
an artist, because I won't feel fear if I'm not being challenged, if the challenge isn't real. It's not a challenge. If it's not real, then it's not a challenge. Right? Now I have to do something that is 1000% truth. 1% that's not, it falls off the map. To show that we are in a temporary world and that life starts after death. So they're always bright. You know, it's really scary. The scary part is that once you know and you've accepted and really embraced what you're here for as an artist, you've also embraced the inevitable that you may not be remembered the way that you want it to be. And that there's your plan and there's the plan. And trying to explain to the world that you don't want to be remembered so you can be famous, that just comes along with you wanting to be remembered because it's evidence that you did right.
And what about not thinking about the plan and just doing you, only you, without thinking about the consequences or about what's going to be left behind you?
It's inevitable. I do fear it. I fear it. I fear giving my all and giving. It's like falling in love. You fear giving your heart, your all to someone, giving everything that you have, everything, all of your value, all of your worth, and they spit on it like it's worth nothing. And you don't have anything left to defend yourself because a part of getting is being completely vulnerable. So now you look weak for doing something that was really strong. That's what being an artist is. A lot of people don't know how I did stuff. And sometimes I don't tell them, not because I want to be a magician, but because if I tell you how I did it, then you won't be in love with magic. You won't be in love with what you don't know. You won't value what you don't know. You won't value the identifying that someone has a position in this world, and you have one too. Whenever people are like, yo man, you're a really dope artist, I hope to be a dope this. I'm like, you can be, you will be, you are that. You are that. Actually, everyone's an artist when they're telling the truth and creating something that we can see, smell, touch, hear. In that moment, you are an artist. And being an artist is a moment-to-moment thing. There's some times where I'm not an artist. Today, when I was going to erase my son's tracings of his hand, they're all over my wall. And I almost was about to erase them right away. And then I was like, but there's something about them that I like. I was going to erase them because there's a kid, a 2-year-old writing on walls. And these walls aren't to be written on. That's not an artist talking. That's an adult talking. And now I look at it and I'm like, it's just fucking beautiful, man. And I'm not going to erase it. You can't hide good. You can't hide bad. It's just, what are you made of? You can't hide weakness. You can't like it's. You just got to do your best. Just do your best. Do your best. Do your best. Do your best. You know what I'm saying? Do your best. Be your best.
100%.
Be your best and have a good relationship with yourself. Be able to tell yourself that sucks. Be able to hear that from other people. Surround yourself with people that are going to tell you the truth because they love you, and they're never going to tell you that they don't like something without telling you why.
The show and the gallery's name is The Cool Hearts. So tell me, what is cool for you?
What's cool for me is what's real and what communicates. What communicates without you having to question its authenticity. When authenticity can thrive in many different directions. Like I said, we're all using components and using things that were already here to tell a different story. That's why I don't mind when people sample. You're sampling something and using something and partnering with a certain part in time so that you can tell a different story at a different time that's relevant and that will resonate with a world that wasn't a part of that other world. So I don't have, like, you know, what's cool is prideful artistry, where we don't get upset when someone copies us. I said intentionally, that piece is called Dear Andy. It is about Andy Warhol. It is a reference to Andy Warhol. Yeah.
This is literally like my 8th time recording this one. I promise you all the other ones were like first takes. That's because I have such a hard time talking about this piece. It's been such a controversial piece for it to be, it's a depiction of what I ate when I was a kid. Yes, it is intentionally about Andy Warhol. It's intentionally, yes, he did Campbell soup. I'm saying the things that are quite obvious, but are remarkable about two men that come from two different places, that have two different ethnic backgrounds, two different sexual orientations, and two different lives in two different times, yet share a love of color, a love of art, and both were terrified of being forgotten.
Tell you something, Nausicaa. I was never going to tell you this. Do you know why I was so happy about having a show there at the Sofitel with you and at Cool Heart and everything? Because that same lobby, is where I first got my heart broken in LA. That lobby is where I caught my first girlfriend cheating on me.
Really?
And she broke my heart, like broke my heart with this NBA player. And it was in that lobby. And she went with him. When she got confronted and caught, she decided to go with him. And I was just left in that lobby. That was 2008.
I never knew that. You never told me that.
Yeah, because some things are better left for the end, you know? So that lobby is very familiar to me for other reasons. So I made love in that lobby, and I've had my heart broken in that lobby. So this is the love part.
I had no idea. And that's crazy. You hide this from me till the end. You're full of surprises. That's what I love about you, you know. So Taj, I really want to thank you. Lots of love. Thank you for being so much available and to let us go into your world. I appreciate you. I do love you. I'm a big fan of your art, like really, really, really. And the integrity that you have as a person in your personal life, in your work, in your artwork is beyond my expectation. Like, you're such an amazing human being, and it's an honor to be able to just work with you and collaborate with you and spend time with you and see you and have those viewings with you. And it's just like, you know, the cherry on the cake every time, I have to say.
Thank you.
Oh, I love you. Look at this cheek. Look at this smile. Now he's hiding. Look, it's so cute.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do.
Don't be shy.
I'm shy. I'm shy. I am. Because it's coming. It's like I can't hide. When someone says something from the heart like that, you can't hide anywhere. Like the light is just like this. You can't hide, you know? So I'm trying to hide, I can't. Have I ever read you this thing called 10,000 Feet?
What?
It's short. Have I ever read it to you?
No.
I usually read it to people when I feel like when I know enough about them that this will make sense to them. Mm-hmm. This is the beginning of my last book, which I have to give to you. It's 300 pages, so take your time. What I'm about to read you is just very short, though. It's called 10,000 Feet. The first thing I'm going to read you is my letter to my city. It's a letter to my city called Dear Oakland. Oakland taught me how to survive, how to talk, how to grind. It taught me how to be a gentleman, yet how to take what's mine. Oakland people work hard, accept you for who you are. They show support for their natives, whether near or far. The women are gorgeous, grounded, vibrant, and strong. The men are scholars, hustlers, fathers, and ex-cons. Our town loves a challenge, and we often create our own in order to raise soldiers from the moment that we are born. I'm East Oakland through and through. I dream, I execute. I live inside the moment and always keep it true. To the city that gives me strength, hustle, laughs, and love. I cherish you every day for all of the above. Love, Taj. And then that goes into this. Which I want to read you, because this will answer some questions that I have hard time talking about certain things, because I'm just not good at verbalizing things sometimes, most of the time. But this is probably the most honest thing I've ever written. And this was written just in case people didn't know who I was, because I kind of work behind the scenes, and you have to be paying attention to what I do to find me sometimes, you know? And so this is for people just in case. Life can get crazy growing up in the hood. It wasn't hard to fit in, but it seemed that I was always misunderstood. Everybody was chasing it, but my it was never goods. It's a big dream from a small train. I was like the engine that could. Now I moved to LA 6 months and time isn't standing still. No food, a little hope. Man, life is getting real. The window of opportunity and dream that I concealed is withering with bad habits as the sun sinks over hills. So if nothing left to sell and my soul's still intact, I close my eyes tight and beg God to act. With a couple shed tears and some time to relax, God granted my wish and brought me all the way back. 2 days later, I know that God is the truest. I landed in Europe. Rihanna didn't stop the music. Calls from back home, and nothing was the same. Then began chapter 2, Taj, welcome to fame. Now see, the money's pouring in, and with a dose of LA, everything I ever fucking wanted is just a swipe away. Parties are lasting longer. All my cars are V8s. Everyone that says that I'm the man, well, there's no longer a debate. Everyone's paying attention, listening to what I have to say. But wait, nobody ever told me that money burned this fast, or that relationships with the needy hardly ever last, or that when you feel used up and your body's out of gas, a lot of people that you once helped, I helped put you on your ass. Now it's 2010 and my ego is frail, and with no hesitation, I decided to bail. Faced with the ultimate fear that I fell, I packed up and headed to the ATL. Now, despite the food, sex, and strip clubs at night, me and the ATL just didn't feel right. I woke up in the cold winter and with clear sight, apologized to my friends and put them on a flight. After my extended stay, I was back in LA, ready to take control with success as my prey. Then came the second storm, accompanied with some delays. Then me and 800 million dropped the biggest wave. J-Lo and Pitbull that put me on tour. Now I'm shooting foreign videos shore to shore. Almost wiped the slate clean in all that I'd done before. An entire galaxy screaming, I'm on the floor. But as the winter passed and the spring came about, I noticed a change in my spiritual clouds. I yearned for the opportunity and ability to explore the most important feeling and lesson that none of us can ignore. That God holds the key to all doors.
Thank you for watching. You can follow Taj on Instagram at TajvsTaj, The Cool Heart, and also Love Nausicaa. Don't forget to follow us on the YouTube channel at Love Nausicaa.